Welcome back to the Ed Show. Big finish tonight. The Chicago School Board may have rammed through an unpopular, unfair overhaul, but the discussion is far from over. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of the city, is a big fan of charter schools, calling their results incredible. But the Nobel Street Charter Schools are coming under increased scrutiny because they are charging parents fees for student misconduct. The fees are based on demerits and detention for minor offenses like chewing gum, not looking at the teacher when you're supposed to, or not sitting up straight. I'd have had real problems in school if those were the rules. But anyway, the Nobel Charter Network has collected $386,745 in fees over the past few years. Chicago Tribune editorial described it this way: many Nobel students leave the school before their senior year. Some folk forced to choose between bus fare and their education. By a discipline code that fines them for bringing chips to school or chewing gum. Believe it or not. I'm joined tonight by Judith Browne-Dianis, co-chair of Advancement Project, a generation civil rights organization focused on issues of democracy and race, and Donna Moore, whose son attends Nobel Charter School in Chicago. Ms. Moore, I want to ask you first, what have you experienced with this Nobel Charter School, and is it the right way to go?
It is not the right way to go for many of the students. What I've experienced is punishment, robbing not just my pocketbook for paying fines for minor things such as a shoe untied or falling asleep in a detention. It's the things that are happening does not make common sense in terms of discipline for high schoolers getting to college, on their way to college. A shoe untied, slouching, those are the things that are holding kids back from being able to even move forward and having a future.
Judith, is this for profit or is this to make it a better environment? What do you think?
Well, clearly they're lining their pockets of this school. It's a nonprofit organization, but to have over almost $400,000 that they've collected in 3 years from low-income families for minor conduct, and it's not effective. It's not that it changes the behavior, but it is about padding the pockets of this school.
How much of an impact has this had on your sibling, Donna?
On my son, it has had a tremendous impact. Being told that you are undisciplined because you have a button unbuttoned or a shoe untied, that has really totally undermined his self-esteem, his self-worth, because he's constantly reminded that he's bad because of these very minor things that have nothing to do with education, that have nothing to do with anything egregious.
Judith, Judith, what do you make of Mayor Rahm Emanuel's response to this? He says it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Mayor Emanuel has said that this is the school with the secret sauce, but in fact, they actually have a dirty secret, and that secret is that they are double taxing parents. Not only is that school getting money through taxes, but then they're charging parents who can't afford it. Parents have to make choices about whether or not to pay for the bus ride to school, or are they going to pay the fine. And guess what? If you do not pay the fine, the policy allows them to keep your child back in grade or not allow your child to graduate. This is what he is holding up as sound education reform. He's absolutely wrong.
Donna, how's your son's attitude going through this?
It is very disheartening. He has his whole dream of becoming a drug enforcement agent has been totally undermined because of suspensions and fines for nothing that has to do with anything egregious, for slouching, not sitting up straight, for not tracking the teacher. So Yeah.
And quickly, Judith, it would seem to me that personalities can come involved. I have to admit tonight that not every teacher loved Big Eddie, you know. I mean, there are some things, there are personalities that come into play here, which I think could be pretty dangerous, and it's a system where a kid could get picked on. What do you think about it?
That's right. This is the problem with what's happening here, is that it's totally subjective.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you might get written up all the time. And that's really not fair to parents, and then they're having to pay for it. Instead, why don't we nurture children and teach them right from wrong, and use common sense discipline instead of fining and punishing parents that way.
Judith Browne-Dianis and Donna Moore, thank you for joining us tonight.
You.
We'll do more on this story. I don't like what's happening in Chicago. That's the Ed Show. I'm Ed Schultz. The Rachel Maddow Show starts right now. Good evening, Rachel. I was in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend. Yes, they like me, but they love you. They're all asking for you. So I just got to tell you that the road report from Ohio is you're the one.
Well, Ed, I was in San Jose this weekend, and I heard a lot of I love Ed Schultz out in San Jose. So
were they wearing buttons? That's all I care about.
Were they buttoned properly and sitting up straight and looking right at the teacher?
There you go. All right.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate
You bet.
it. And thanks to you at home for staying with us for the next hour. 1 month before.